writing, and I haven't been waiting for a response. I've actually been waiting for validation, you know? I've been waiting for somebody to say, you know, you've got great writing capability, what you've got to offer is brilliant, you matter, your story matters, your journey matters, these other women's stories who were within this book, their stories matter.
So what I started to do, I started to just like buy and sell domain names when the internet was like literally you had to plug it into your wall. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's so easy because you're chasing this dream and this vision that you have, and to feel as though you need to be working all hours of the day. And yes, there are some days where you need to push yourself that little bit harder, but you really need, if you haven't got your health and your well-being, you haven't got any business.
Hello and welcome back to She's the Boss Female Entrepreneur Stories. It is season 2 and I am really excited to be back. It's been a little while since I've recorded an interview and I've been missing it actually. I really enjoy speaking to all of these phenomenal women in business, and I hope that you've been missing it too, and that you're going to be excited to hear this interview today and all of those forthcoming over the next couple of Sundays. As usual, if you haven't already done so, please make sure that you click that subscribe or follow button, depending if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to the podcast. And please share with anyone in your network who you think will be empowered by female entrepreneur stories. So today, with the first She's the Boss interview of 2020, I am excited to be joined by an award-winning entrepreneur, Julie Hawkins. Hi Julie, thank you so much for joining me today. Julie is the founder of Key Products and Single Moms Business Network. So I'm really excited to hear your story because it is one that I know a lot of women in business will be able to relate to. So tell us about your business first and foremost. So Key Products and Single Moms Business Network. Start wherever you want to start, and whichever one you want to start with, let us know what they're all about.
Okay, thanks, Daniela. If I keep talking too much, just tell me to zip it, and I will, because it's quite a story. So Key Products, basically, going back 8 years now, when I was pregnant, I knew from the minute I was pregnant that I would be a single mum. Whilst I'd done the whole marriage, homeowner, child in the sanctuary of marriage thing before, the universe decided that wasn't the way it was going to be for me. So a year later, I was, a single pregnant woman. And so Key Products was purely by accident, really. I'd had a normal 20-year career history, and I'd slowly worked my way up the career ladder, as you do, always full-time, often in the office at 7 o'clock at night or going in on a Saturday. And, if I needed any extra money, I'd just go and get a bar job in the evenings and kind of top that income up. So it's very easy, and I've always been very driven and had a very strong work ethic. And then what happened with the Key bed, which is where Key Products came from, when I was heavily pregnant with my daughter, I wanted to lay on my belly because I'm a front sleeper and I wanted to stretch my back out and just, So I just went onto Google, as you do, and looked for a pregnancy cushion that would let me lay prone on my belly. And I was really surprised I couldn't find one. I gave up after about 8 or 10 pages, as I think most of us do. Well, that's strange. Why isn't there a pregnancy cushion on the belly? Anyway, to cut a long story short, I went and made one, and because I was very comfortable on it, I took it along to the massage therapist. I said, "Can you please give me a nice back massage? I've made this so I can lay on my belly." She said, "Oh, wow, that's amazing." And then I spoke to the midwife and I said, "Look, I've miscarried my last baby. I feel really comfortable, but I want to make sure that this is safe from a professional perspective. Is there any danger with my child, my unborn child?" And she's like, "No, this is amazing." And this kind of feedback went on with everybody I spoke to. And I thought, now I feel like I've got an obligation to share this product. Out of necessity, I thought if I need it, other women are going to need it too. And the massage therapist was like, "Oh, my pregnant clients would love this." But the issue is I was already a single mum, and so going from the work history, when I was on maternity leave, my employer sold the company. So whilst I was protected under 2P or 2P, however you pronounce it, the new employer, what I realised then is, as a single mum without that support network outside of childcare hours, the childcare, I had to be back by 5:15 or 5:30 at the latest, with the fine between 5:15 and 5:30. So when I spoke to the employer and said, can I have some flexibility, you know, leave at 4:30? I was like, no, you know, your contract requires you to work until 5:30. That's the hours of the business. I thought, oh, right, you know. And I suddenly realised that I couldn't continue, you know, and return to work after maternity. So in very quick concession, I was unemployed, quite sure that I'd get a part-time job quite quickly. But of course, that's much harder when you're looking, because everybody's looking for part-time work at school hours. So there was some jobs out there, but they were all very low paid and, you know, way beneath the skill set that I'd advanced myself to. So consequently, the knock-on effect with that is money just took a tumble. My home was repossessed. I couldn't get a well-paid job, so I wanted to share this product as a business. But all of a sudden, I was a single mum in receipt of benefits, using payday loans. I was in private rental then, which was more money than my mortgage, strangely. And but I just couldn't find any money to put this business together. And the reason I'm telling that story is because it's very relevant to a lot of women feel like they're locked out of doing it if they haven't got a penny to their name. You know, how do you bring products to the market, and how do you create a business when you can't rub 2 pennies together to even, you know, like Sky TV was a no-no, takeout was a no-no, none of those things were possible. You know, there was £20 a week, and I needed to make sure that the food cupboard was fully properly for the whole week with that. So it took me 2 years. So a lot of it was investigative in the background. I needed to make sure the health and safety was right for this product. I needed to make sure that I had done the work to get the patent sorted. Luckily, I'd worked for a patent attorney as a secretary before, so I knew how to go straight to the IPO and things like that. But even so, to pay that £60 initial fee, it took me ages to save that up. And then to buy a piece of material to make the first cover, to make the first prototype, you know, it was so hard to get that money together to make these things. But eventually, within 2 years, I had the finished product, and I took it then to a charity called the Fredericks Foundation, who loan to people that banks turn away. And so I presented this product. I presented all of the research that I'd done with health and safety. I presented the comprehensive business plan. You know, I made a lot of effort with it, and I presented the sacrifices that I had made to bring it to the point it was at. Consequently, they loaned me an initial loan to be able to get some stock and to do a PR campaign and everything else. So that was absolutely brilliant. So then for a couple of years, I was selling the Keybed pregnancy cushion. I thought I was selling it to pregnant women, but it turned out that I was actually selling it to osteopaths and chiropractors and massage therapists. So I've used the money that I was lent for PR straight away. So I didn't have any money then to PR to my actual audience. So that was the first mistake I made, is you'd think it was obvious who your audience was, but it wasn't. It was the practitioners that were buying it and not the ladies. But I was winning awards. I put myself in front of people because you have to. This is all tips and advice. You know, when you haven't got money then to spend on PR, you listen to people and they say, well, if you put yourself forward for this award, that's going to give you an exposure boost and people can see who you are and what you're doing. So I'd sit at the computer explaining to women, you know, like yourself, what I'm doing, and try and I asked them to help me raise awareness of my product without having to find more money to spend on PR. And all the time I was doing that, I was still trying to find this part-time work that would pay me what I was used to, sort of salary-wise, but in reduced hours, so that I could build the business alongside it. You know, that was so hard, and this is what's led me now to the Single Mums Business Network, and crucially, that's what we're getting to. I went through my own battle for 5 or 6 years with key products, and then under the umbrella of key products, I thought, right, I exhibited at the NEC at the beginning of last year, finally, couldn't do it for years, just didn't have the money to do it. I finally exhibited. In that weekend, I sold more units in a weekend than I sold in an entire year. And it just proved my point that it was just exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so frustrated because for years I've been locked out of that exposure. I was locked out of mainstream lending because the banks were looking at not what I was doing, but they were looking at my credit score.
Yeah.
And the fact that the house was repossessed and things like that. So I thought, I know I'm not alone with this. If I'm struggling with this, or if I've struggled with this, then there's going to be other women out there who are really trying hard. I was still needing benefits. And I thought, women don't want to be on benefits. And I think if I'd had the exposure to get the NEC a few years before,
Mm-hmm.
then I probably wouldn't have needed the support of benefits for a few years. Or if I'd managed to get that part-time job that paid me properly, then I wouldn't have needed them either, because I could have done, so it brought about a lot of frustration and a lot of disappointment, really, in our culture, in our leadership, in the powers that be. So the Single Mums Business Network, I thought, okay, let's collaborate, let's bring all of these women together. I'm not saying that all of my members are in that boat, because a lot of them are actually doing really well, and they're in it because they get what I'm doing, and they get the purpose, they get the cause, and also they know that by joining, they're supporting the women who need that boost of exposure too. So there you go. didn't go. I'll pause for a minute.
No, it was just a fantastic, and I knew when you told me the story that it was going to be one that would keep me riveted throughout, and it absolutely did. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is where did the inner resolve come from? Because you said you lost your house, you couldn't find a job, you were on benefits, your life had completely transformed in a way that for some others it might have been, right, I'm just going to give up, I'm never going to be able to do this. Where did that kind of inner resolve to keep pushing towards your dream come from?
It was my daughter. Without a doubt, my daughter. When I was 35, I was propping up a bar. I would just drink pints of Strongbow in the evening. Before I had my daughter, I didn't feel like there was any time in life. I already felt at 35 like I wasn't going, I don't know, I was in a real mindset where it was too late for me to retrain or be the woman that I wanted to be. My confidence was very low. I was very confident, like as in putting on a show, not consciously putting on a show, but I was very bubbly but with the help of a few pints really, and just hiding this trapped girl inside that just was feeling like she wasn't really doing anything or going to achieve anything particularly. But with my daughter, it's like there's this little lifeline. Obviously, when I had her as a single mum, because I was in work and I was confident that, say, my salary prorated, so if I'd worked 30 hours instead of 37.5 hours and 30k had gone to 24k, I was quite happy that I could have just paid the bills and looked after her, and she would have had a reasonable saved up to help her with a first deposit, first car, whatever. I was so broken. I signed up for a law degree as well as soon as I knew I'd be a single mum, because I wanted to make sure that I really did improve my prospects. So I did the law degree alongside all of that stuff. So I was crying at night, and then I was picking up the book and I was thinking, come on, you can do this, read through. And the thing that kept me going, that power you're talking about inside, was the conversation that I would have with her when she was 10. 10 years was nothing to me anymore. When I was 20, I didn't want to wait till I was 30. It was too long. But when I was 36 and my daughter was 0, and I thought, how am I going to tell her when she's 10, oh, I'm sorry we're struggling, but it was too hard, I gave up. Am I going to turn to her when she's 10 and saying, I have done everything in my power to make sure that you are not deprived as a circumstance of me knowing I would be a single parent? Or am I going to say to her, oh, I just decided to give in and go and work for a low wage. That's okay, but I'm fighting for the point is I spent 20 years working to get to this wage. I don't want to accept this because I'm a mum, because I need 30 hours instead of 37 and a half, because childcare shuts off before I can get home. So I'm fighting not only for me, but for her future too. And I'm not, she's only 8 now, well, she's 7, she's 8 in a few weeks. So we've still got time for me to sort of say to her when she's a teenager to have nice holidays and things like that, and for me to say, you know, we're doing this because I did not give up. And actually, it really helps being on my own because I know I'm the only one that can do it. I'm not relying on a partner. There isn't anybody else to share that burden with. It's down to me. If I don't do this, she's going to have a hard time. Like, it's on me, and it's only on me. And if that doesn't drive me, then nothing will.
Yeah, no, it's so powerful. And I love how you kind of have said that. How are you going to explain it to her when she's 10? It's such a powerful way of looking at it. And I hope that those that are listening or watching are encouraged by that, because I've met, I've lost count of the amount of people that I've met. Like, oh, I want to start a business, but I've got kids and I can't fit it all in. And I have kind of a similar view to you. Like, well, it's simply because you have kids, why you should try and do it now. And that's not to negate the fact that it's going to be very difficult, but it'll be worth it if you succeed. And you can always say that you tried. And is it better to look back and say, I tried, but I didn't succeed, or I didn't even try? So, like, not trying only gives one option, and that's failure. Whereas at least if you try, you could win. And I think that's really a quite important point. So I have traditionally started service-based business, so I know the process of doing that. And whenever I speak to ladies that have started product-based business, I'm always kind of impressed that you took a concept and turned it into a physical thing. How did you do that? Like, okay, I've got an idea for something to put the bump in, but how did you know where to go and get the materials from? How did you know how to follow specific processes to make sure it's manufactured to industry standard? Like, what was the process of that?
This is exactly it. And this is where you've got to be a self-starter, and you've got to be a troubleshooter, and you've got to be a problem solver. You know, nobody does this stuff for you. And the thing that we've got now is we haven't got any excuses now because we've got the internet. And whatever question you've got in your head, you've only got to type it into the keyboard in front of you, and you're going to find the answer. And I think this is the hard work that lots of people don't see. You always see on these success charts, you see this line here, which is the stuff that people don't see underneath. That is all of that research. And it's not easy. You don't type in, how do I do this? And the answer pops up. You break it down. So, like, when I was looking at the health and safety of it, I was ringing trading standards, and I was Googling, how do you get furniture and fire regulations, and what are furniture and fire regulations, or what regulations are there? And then I had to break down, is this a toy? Does this need CE marking? And then you needed to really read and understand that and say, no, actually, this doesn't apply to that bit. It does apply to the furniture and fire regulations. And then I just asked and asked and asked Googles, and Tommy's charity, I called them, the Miscarriage Association, and I called them and I said, I've got this product and it's relevant to pregnancy, and obviously I want to make sure that I do the health and safety. Where do I go? Who do I speak to? How do I get this signed off? And I asked them, and I asked Trading Standards, and I phoned up the intellectual property office, and I said to them, what protection do I need? How do I do it? How long does this last? You know, what are the pros and cons of me doing it for Europe, or just doing it for the UK, or doing it worldwide? I didn't know the answer to any of the questions, but what I did do is ask. And you've got to trust the people that will actually help you. They're not big scary monsters where if you pick up the phone to Trading Standards or the IPO or the charity, they're not going to say, oh, how dare you ring me and ask me a question. You know, they're going to give you an answer. And if they don't give you an answer, but then you ring somebody else until you find out. And with the material, I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted it to be soft, really soft. I knew I wanted it to feel gorgeous on your skin. And I knew I wanted it to feel gorgeous on baby's skin, because after I'd used it as a pregnancy cushion and had me in it, I never planned this, but when we got home from hospital, actually Kaylin fitted in it perfectly. So I didn't use the crib or the basket or anything. She was just in there all the time, and it was so light. I'd carry it around the house. If we were asleep watching telly in the living room, and I fancied a soak in the bath, I could just pick the whole thing up, I put it by the side of the bath, and I had to soak in the bath while she was just still. It was brilliant. I'm still so excited about it, really. But anyway, so I digress. I knew what I wanted for the cover. I knew that pure cotton would be cheaper, and I knew that plain cotton, poly cotton would be cheaper. But I wanted 100% soft cotton, and I had to make decisions. It could be aesthetically pleasing, or it could be insanely comfortable. So I opted for the insanely comfortable more than the aesthetically pleasing, and got like a sling design on it. But then it's just things. It took me so long to pay, and I didn't know about CAD drawings. Like, the guy at the IP said you need a CAD drawing to submit to get protection. As like a CAD drawing. How do I get a CAD drawing? So again, I went back to Google. I was like, who does CAD drawings? And I picked up the phone to lots of people until I found one that said, yes, I'll do this drawing for you, and this is what it's going to cost you. God, that's going to take me another 3 months to pay for, but also it's not being afraid. Again, you don't expect stuff for free. Everybody's professional. Everybody needs to earn money for what they do. But what I learned quite early on was to ask for ways to pay. Now, when I first started my business, I was in no way, shape or form did I relate as being a businesswoman, and I certainly wouldn't have been here now talking to you like this. So I needed a professional photo. I needed something that made me look like the women that I see that look like business women. I needed that pose. I think it's one of the first poses I said to you. And, I had to stick my chin out and get a really big smile and, really unnatural bit. But it looked professional. But I couldn't afford to pay the woman to do that. So I said to her, it's £150. And I said, look, I need this picture. Can I pay you £10 a week for the next 15 weeks? And I wasn't asking for credit, but what I said is then in 15 weeks, we'll have a photo shoot, it's paid for, and 3 months is nothing. Then in 3 months, I had the photo done, I could put it on my website, and there I was. It did not matter how much I was crying at home. What people saw was a professional-looking woman. And I would sat there sobbing and tired and everything else. Oh, this is me, and I've just won an award, and this is a great picture. You need those things to help you build the confidence initially. And if you can't afford those things, you need to be. We're all human, and actually, women, if we're honest with each other, we're actually really good at helping each other. That woman, I said to her, I really want your services, and I really need this product, but can you work with me here? Can I save with you? I couldn't save it myself, because if I had £150 in the bank, it would not have gone on the photo. I'd have filled up the fridge and the freezer and bought some baby shoes or something like that. I wouldn't have justified it the other way around. I had to put the money in. I couldn't keep it.
What kind of strikes me, or the feeling that I'm getting speaking to you, is one of frustration. It annoys me that there wasn't a service that would give you that money at the beginning of that journey. I don't know if you've heard recently that RBS has committed to, I can't remember how much it is, but giving female entrepreneurship or women in business I think it's like £1 billion boost, because they want to see more female entrepreneurs starting and growing businesses. And I think it's absolutely amazing, and I think it's more than overdue. And actually, there's so many women and mothers in particular that have fantastic ideas like yourself, who are stuck because actually I can't afford the daycare, which I need to be able to spend time on my business. But in order to spend time on my business, I need the daycare. Like, it's a vicious kind of cycle. And I'm happy that there seems to be more awareness, but I still don't think it's enough as yet. So I definitely think the government needs to do, and obviously let me know your opinion. The government needs to do something, and I've been saying this for many years, around the cost of childcare, number one. And number two, if you're starting a business, I feel that there should be something you can apply to be able to get childcare, whether that be childcare discount or free childcare. But is it better for somebody to be going to the job centre and sitting at home doing nothing, or is it better that you take that money and use it for the childcare, and that person is now starting a business that at some point in the future may employ additional people? And it's something that I find, and as you're telling me the story, it comes back to that same thing again, because when I my story is very different to yours, but I started a business, was running a business for many years, decided to have a child, and then had to sell my business, but wanted to start another business, had the same problem. I'm not working. What do I do with the child? Where do I put her? Because it doesn't actually make sense at this point to take money that I don't have to pay for childcare before the business is started, because the business is not bringing in any revenue. I was able to work it out, but for somebody like yourself, I just think that free childcare, or seriously a discounted childcare, is really the way forward, and it's very frustrating that the government haven't done anything about that as yet. I'm waffling on this, but yeah, you give me your opinion.
But it's great though. I mean, this is why what you're doing here is so fantastic, because you're providing this platform, and the more we talk about it, and this is the wonder of technology, is that we can actually communicate now with the government, whereas we've been so disconnected before. But the more of us that talk about this, and the more we're all on the same team with it, you know, we're going to start being heard. Now, I think once Kaylin was 2 or 3, I was able to get 15 hours or 11 hours.
Yeah, you get 15 at 2 and 30 at 3.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's so tricky. I mean, really, 15 hours, for me personally, 15 hours when Kaylin was 2 was enough. Well, I opted for 11 hours over 52 weeks instead of 15 hours over 37 weeks. So now you have a choice. Well, it wasn't quite enough, because I think I literally managed to go to 1 meeting a week or do a bit. But I found it easier because I was single. I had every evening. It does make a difference when you naturally you're going to need to engage with your partner if you have one. I was very fortunate that my evenings were my own, so I was able to spend all of that time. But still getting to meetings and things in the day was really challenging, and there were some things I did with her that I would have preferred to do on my own. Mm-hmm. So we've got a little bit more childcare help would be great, and the cost of it is a massive issue, because whilst you was able to claim some of that back, you know, if you haven't got that initial outlay, and I think one of the childcare providers has said to me, if you don't pay within 7 days, you get this fine. And even with the work, when I went to one of the jobs, I couldn't afford the childcare ahead of the wage coming in.
Yeah.
Because I had to find the fuel to get to work. And people say, well, if you haven't got that much money, you shouldn't even have a car. Well, I don't know if anybody's tried getting a bus lately, but you know, that really adds up. Yeah, and it, you know, if the bus isn't door to door, then you also need to add another couple of hours to your day, which when you've got a child and you're putting in childcare to get public transport, I mean, it's insane.
Then you know, add snow, rain, wind, sleet, hail, fog.
Yeah. It's so tricky, and it really shouldn't be that hard. It really shouldn't be that hard to just be able to afford to take your child to childcare, and then in that car go to work, and to have that. If there was money in the pot to, again with the benefits thing, every time I did get work, because I've been in and out of these low-paid jobs, you pick up the phone legally as you're obliged to straight away and say, I don't need you anymore, thanks very much, we're hey. But then everything stops immediately, so all of a sudden there's not a penny for fuel or childcare or anything else, and you find you have a breakdown before you've even got the first paycheck. So there's some things that really need to juggle around a bit to help more. But also I'm very passionate about, I actually love being a mother, and I think most of us do. So I don't want childcare from 7 in the morning to 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that would enable me to go to work quite comfortably, you know, 8:30, 9 to 5:30. But actually, I do want to see my child too. I'm not work shy. I really want to work, but not so that I don't see her all week. You know, can I just do both, please? Can I see my baby and work really hard when she's at school, or you know, 30 hours a week, whatever. So we need a bit of a combination of being able to afford childcare, being able to afford fuel, and being able to.
Well, I think flexible working as well is the other thing. Flexible working. Actually, had you just been allowed to reduce your work time by 7 hours, which is really not any huge amount at all.
No.
Well, it's probably a blessing that you weren't, because then you've been able to go down this route. But you should have been allowed to in the first place. And I think it's quite ridiculous that an employer could have a valuable member of staff and for the sake of 7 and a bit hours is going to push you into the situation that you was in. I think that should be illegal also.
Absolutely awful. I mean, absolutely awful. It wouldn't have happened if it had been my same employer, because she was very child friendly. But I think because obviously the company had sold, I was a stranger to them. It didn't matter that my track record was brilliant. In hindsight, I'm really glad it happens, because obviously this journey is priceless. But at the same time, I don't want it to happen to other people. I do not want to see another mother struggle as I have. There have been times where I've literally thought I can't go on. And that is not, no woman should feel like that because she's bringing a child into the world. You shouldn't be penalised financially. It's a financial penalty. It's a crime. I've lost out on several years of pension, holiday pay, and all of these things for the love of being a mother. And so we really need to readdress how important motherhood is in our culture, without making a woman choose between the child or the career. The career should be maintained in a small, within what she can do. But going back to what you said about the bank pledging the £1 billion, it's funny that you say that, because everything I put out there is normally positive or purposeful, but I did make a little bit of a comment where I wasn't massively impressed, purely because over the years, those are exactly the kind of loans that would not accept me because of my credit status. And this is the issue we've got now. I think we've got 8 billion people in work poverty or something like that in the UK. My figures aren't there. Joseph Rowntree Foundation have got accurate figures, but and turn to us and things like that. But what we're doing is the money is being lent, and these initiatives are being lent to people who have got basically clean credit file. We've got to decriminalise a dirty credit file. A dirty credit file doesn't mean someone's stupid with money. It means their outgoings have been more than their incomings. And that's purely because the cost of living is less than your average wage now. I mean, your average wage is less now than the cost of living. Particularly for one person, it's impossible not to get into debt. It's impossible not to have payday loans and things like that, and to have a damaged credit. And all of these things where if you can't pay for something annually, you then need to pay for it monthly by direct debit. So when you haven't got money, it costs you more to pay by direct debit, and then the banks charge you when that direct debit bounces. So my experience with the banks that are doing these loans now is that they're still not helping the people who really need it. They're helping the people who are here in the middle, who could potentially get help anywhere. So it's almost like they're doing it to look good and not to actually help the people who need to break out of a cycle of being trapped in a cycle of relative poverty. And then you've got these charities out there like Frederick's Foundation and Purple Shoots. They are really helping people who really can do so much but are just locked out because the bank says sorry, computer says no.
No, that's a very valid point. Very valid point. I didn't necessarily think of it like that, so thanks for highlighting that. Question: friends and family, what were their kind of views and feedback when you decided, actually, yes, I'm a new mom, I'm studying, looking for part-time work, I'm also going to become a businesswoman? How did they respond to that?
I think it just kind of happens, really. I mean, my friend circle completely changed when I became a single mum anyway, because before that I was a socialite and everything else. And then when I had my daughter, I moved out of the city and into the country. So the friends thing stopped overnight anyway. People don't come and see you when you they don't. It's very rare.
It's very weird, that is, by the way.
I think I had kind of one hand 5 visitors in 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane. You just, people think you're doing okay on social media, and then they don't really. And so family. So my dad lives in Wiltshire with his fourth wife or something like that, and so that they're not hands-on to help. And then mum's had her own life, so she's been pretty busy with doing stuff as well. So we're close, and it's great, and she's always been supportive of what I'm doing. But again, there's that assumption that surely the grandparents can take care of childcare and stuff like that, when that's just not a reality unless you've got a grandparent around the corner that's actually free all the time for you to commit. It's a big ask anyway.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we've got we've got this thing. We've got how many elderly in the UK, or not necessarily elderly, but retired folk in the UK that are a bit lonely, maybe. I want this kind of adopt a nana scene going on, because I'm sure there's probably lots of women out there who could perhaps help. The difficult thing is, if they're not a registered childminder, you don't want to ask somebody to help them for free, and then the government won't let you pay them if they're not registered. And who wants to go through being registered if they're like retired and just wanting to help out the neighbour with a child? So that should be a little bit easier, because I'm sure there's loads of. I've met a few, and I kind of want to say to them, do you think you can help a little bit so I can go to a couple of meetings? I still can't do meetings in the evening, really. I've only just now built up a good relationship with somebody that I can go to a couple of evening things, but we're still disconnected. We've got care homes, and we've got, the old people's homes, and we've got a couple of things going on with schools going in to see them, and they both benefit. So why can't we have childcare in the care homes?
It's a good idea.
Why can't we come together a little bit? And I don't want it to take liberties of them, but it might actually lift them a little bit and help their loneliness too. And I wouldn't mind, I don't know, taking them out once a month, or getting a big shop for them, or swap a skill kind of thing, or do their admin or something like that. But just to have somebody come in and help a little bit sometimes. So we're just, as a society, we're too disconnected. We can actually call on each other a little more, but we haven't got the community spirit that perhaps other countries have got. And other cultures are brilliant at it. They've got tribes, proper tribes. You're all on hands to help each other and use your skills. And we're so detached, our Western culture. So that's why I'm a big fan of networking, because it's like we're bringing that back together. We're talking, and we're talking to each other, and we're not fighting our own battles behind closed doors. We're actually like, what can we do together? Need a lot more of that.
So I suppose nobody turned around and said you're crazy for doing this, because you didn't have enough people, or is it that people were not that close for you to care?
A couple of people might have said I was a bit crazy, particularly frustrated. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur and you take risks, people do, you drag your family on that journey with you. And I think it's exhausting for them, because you're so, see, when you've got a vision and it's internal and you're driven and you're going to see this through, but trying to get others to kind of trust that you're going to come good with it is quite tricky. But, they support you. But I had a friend, and she just didn't get it. She said, what's wrong with you? Why don't you just go and get a job in Asda? I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I do that, I'm going to need benefits to help me for the next 10 or 15 years. I haven't worked full time for 20 years to go and accept half the pay and not, it's like, the employers have got to bring us back into work. Or we need to have more opportunity for exposure to build our own businesses if we have to work from home, or we have to be self-employed. And so it's very frustrating. Some people don't get it. It's just they're looking at the small picture and not the bigger picture. I don't want to be dependent on. I was so proud for 20 years paying tax. The last thing I want is to accept that I can only do a minimum paid job in school hours, because I'm a mum, and then consequently need, working tax credits for for as long as I'm a dependent member, and then need pension credits when I retire because I haven't been able to save up a pension, or things like that. It's I'll keep fighting. I'll keep fighting for me and for everybody else, so that we're not forced into a situation where we need support long term. We shouldn't be forced into that situation. We should be completely financially independent, and it's purely for the sake of a few hours that we're not.
Yeah. So, no, I've really enjoyed everything. Well, not enjoyed is probably the word. That sounds like it's a good thing.
Sorry, I'm such a
good thing to hear, but it's good to hear, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Going back to the businesses then, what would you say are some of the most kind of difficult times in the businesses specifically, or not necessarily even just the most difficult times? What areas do you feel that you maybe you needed more knowledge or experience in terms of business that have then proven to be challenging because you didn't have that knowledge?
Yeah, the I would say really the website. Again, going back to not being able to afford somebody to do me a professional WordPress website for a couple of £1,000, which is generally what they charge for that. Because of that, I signed up to one of these pre-factored ones that cost you £12 a month or something. It's so important to get the right website because the coding, the Google talks to the websites. And if somebody types in massage therapist near me, then Google is going to pick up the website that it's talking to. And that's your search engine optimization. That's understanding all of the background stuff and everything else. And I've learned that over the years. So with the Single Mums Business Network, I went straight in for WordPress and search engine optimization and everything else. That's so valuable. If I'd have known that with key products, with the key bed, if I'd have done that right, then I probably would have been found much easier. Amazon are very, very good for acting as a sales agent. Obviously, they take a big chunk of money for every item you sell, so you have to sell your products for more on Amazon, because you're going to lose money otherwise. So I would say to anybody, don't sell your product on Amazon for the same price you're going to sell it on your website, because you're going to lose a chunk of that money. And also a couple of frustrating things, like I said, with the business that I learned, which people need to be aware of. And in fact, I would like it to be more heavily legislated, again, because lots of small businesses fail, and they fail for a reason, and this is cash flow. PayPal, Amazon, eBay, sometimes they can just hold your money, and they just make any excuse under the sun for not paying out. Oh, we want to. They think that will take £5 out of your bank to check that your bank account is still valid before they pay out, and things like that. It's like, well, this used to kill me. If I didn't have £5 in the bank because I didn't have a pound in the bank, and I really needed that payout, and they wouldn't pay out because they couldn't take the pounds or £5 out of my account. But how can you not? Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense at all.
It used to finish me off, and they're paid a lot of money. They get a lot of money for doing what they do, so they really should be under a legal obligation to pay you straight away when the customer pays. I mean, yeah, I get that there's they're protected and everything else, but you're going to kill a business if you hold that money for 21 days or something like that. And you're just killing every small business that needs cash flow, and it has a knock-on effect. People then who want money off you, and it's really lame. You say, sorry, but I'm waiting for a payout on this and everything. It's lame. But if cash flow is tight, you can't just magic money. So and of course we've got this overdraft thing going on now, where they're charging a lot more money for overdrafts, which is great if you can clear your overdraft. But the people who are struggling the most, who can't clear their overdraft, they're just going to get even more into debt. It's so wrong.
It's very counterproductive. I'm going to charge you more because you have less.
I'm going to charge you more because you have less. Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense at all.
Where is that okay? And why is it okay? And why are they allowing this up there?
Very peculiar. What would you say has been the most rewarding part of going down this business journey for you?
Networking.
Mm-hmm.
Network, because you meet people. You're born and you go through school and you go through work, and you always feel like whoever you've been made to feel like throughout your childhood and throughout your jobs and throughout your scale. When you enter the business world and you are an independent person in your own right, and you no longer feel like the underdog or anything else, it's for self-esteem and for feeling like a happy human being, to have your voice heard, to be able to use your skill set, to be able to use your brain, to be able to make decisions. It's brilliant being self-employed. It's brilliant being able to do what you're capable of doing without anybody clipping your wings and saying, sorry, you can't do that because that's not in your job description. And then networking then with women. I had a podcast with Marie Hall a few days ago, and we were talking about this. When you're in a work environment, because a lot of people have got their wings clipped, you're not at your best. You're not the best version of yourself, and potentially you could all be fighting to get your voice heard, or you could be fighting to show what you're capable of, or you could be fighting for the promotion. And instead of being like, we can all be on the same team, you're almost a little bit, or you get annoyed because that person goes early and you can't go early, or you get annoyed because that person's got this holiday. There's so much aggro in the work environment because you can't just be. When you come out of that and you network, and you're networking with women and men, and it's just a nice feeling like an equal. It's so nice being an equal and being around people who encourage you and they understand the entrepreneurial journey, and they don't say you're crazy, just shut up and go and do a job for no pay. They'll be like, yes, come on, we get what you're doing, we get where you're going with this, and they encourage you, and they give you tips and advice as well. It's invaluable. You meet so many people, and you never try and sell to people you're networking with. That's a mistake that some people make when they network. They think they're going to make a sales pitch to a room full of people. That's absolutely not what you're doing. You're going to meet people, and when they meet somebody who suddenly says they need something you're doing, you're on their radar. And they're like, oh, hold on a minute, I know somebody who can help you with that. And this is what you're doing, and you're picking up advice and information. Networking is just brilliant. It's your colleagues. Again, when you're out in the workplace and you don't get the banter and the colleagues and all of that lovely stuff that comes from being around other human beings, networking is so important. The best bit.
Yeah, no, I am someone that I don't necessarily enjoy, and I say this frequently, I don't enjoy the traditional networking. So I don't like going to networking events where you have to go in and introduce yourself to people. That's not really my bag. However, I love networking in the sense of relationship building. So the method, so for anyone that's watching or listening that gets a bit nervous about the idea of going and meeting people, one of the ways that I've got around that is by speaking. I'm very confident doing speaking engagements. So what I will do is speak at events, because then what happens is people will come to me afterwards and speak to me, which is something I'm much more comfortable with. I'm working on it, and I have actually committed to going to more networking events this year because I recognise it's something that is a problem for me. But that is the way I've got around it. And again, as you said, when you're working in solitude a lot of the time, which I am pretty much all the time, you don't get that kind of camaraderie. And I get that through meeting people and building relationships and going for working lunches or working brunches, and building that kind of community of people that understand you. And I think that is so important, and especially if, like yourself, you're a mom and you're raising a child on your own. I think sometimes being able to connect with people outside of just nappy, well, you pass the nappy stage, but outside of that sometimes can be really useful. And I think for me, going to events and meeting other moms, and we have similar challenges. So whether that be I can't go to many evening events because I don't have childcare, or something that I find particularly annoying is events that start at about 5. It's impossible for me to get there. I have a husband, so if it's at 7, I can go because by that point he's at home. But when an event is at 5 or 6, I cannot go because what am I supposed to do with it? And I don't have family around, and I kind of really resonated what you said about the kind of tribe mentality, because I've always said it would be great to just live in a village. Nobody knows each other, and I'm going to be late home from work, so and so down the road, can you pick her up from school? Maybe one day that will be the case, but for now.
It takes a long time. I've been in the village now for 4 or 5 years, and it's only just now that I've got enough now where I can actually, there's 2 people who are my go-to people where I can say, can you help? I can actually go, this is why I can do this now, I can go up to Liverpool and come back late. Only just now, but for a few years, I just really didn't feel like I could do that. And it will come. How long have you been in the village that you're in now?
Oh, I'm not. Unfortunately, I always say I want to go to the village.
Yeah, it's
for
nice.
That.
Yeah, it's nice. And you do get to trust them because everybody knows each other, you know.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've always thought. It is on my kind of goal, my family goals list to move to a village, but
Come to Simmons Yacht, it's beautiful.
I'd love to see.
Yeah, Simmons Yacht Walk is absolutely stunning. I mean, you come here and it's just like, it doesn't matter what's going on. You stand up there and everything's great. But it was really interesting what you were saying about, because this is what amazes me with women. To think that you would, I totally understand why you would take the stage in networking, and then you feel comfortable because you've already got that platform for people to talk to you. It fascinates me that you're not a networker, as in just going out and saying, hey, this is me, this is what I do.
I absolutely hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, so surprising, because you look like you would be so confident and so like on with that.
No, I try, and it's funny. There was a period of time where I think I got better at it, and then I had my daughter and was at home for a number of years, and then I think everything that I'd kind of trained myself to pretend to be, I kind of lost it. Like, oh, okay, so I'm back at square one, and I'd kind of built a lot of who I was around the business that I was running. So once that business was sold, I kind of lost my anchor. So it was easier then, because I knew I am the entrepreneur, I am the founder of this business. The business is quite well known in the city. So a lot of the time, even if it was kind of cold networking, people often would either know who I am or kind of know of me, if that made sense. But then when I went off on maternity leave, I really just dropped off the face of the planet. I started an MBA part-time, so I just stayed at home. And then once I then decided to emerge and I want to start a new business, I was just like, oh, who am I? Nobody remembers who I am. I have to start again. So at the moment, that is where I'm at. So I've just signed up to a membership network. So I've committed to going to at least one of their events per month. I force myself out of my comfort zone. But I always say it's a very peculiar thing, because on a stage, put me on a stage with 500 people, 1,000 people, absolutely fine. And there will be some nerves, because obviously that's natural, but it's not anything that I think, oh my gosh, I can't do it. Tell me to go to an event on my own with 200 people and introduce myself to 5, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
But that's your shield though, because I analyse that myself, because I always used to be confident. If I was behind a bar, brilliant. If I was working in a chip shop, brilliant. Behind the counter. If I was working as a massage therapist, to have that medium or that platform there, so you are acting in a certain manner, you're not vulnerable, you're not wide open. But if you walk into a room and you're not the barmaid or the server, and you're like you're just standing there, and somebody says, and you need to say, you know, I am. It is much scarier when you're not on a platform, in any kind of platform, because you haven't got a barrier, or you haven't got it's just you. You're just there, and say. So you need to trust that people genuinely just really want to know you and get to know you and know who you are. And I do find it easier. I'm so not anti networking with men, and I try to be careful not to come across that way, because I network with both. But I love the female networking groups, because it's got a different vibe to it, and we just sit down and we just chat on a much more, you know, we're just natural, the way women are supposed to be together, you know. We open up a little bit more, we talk a bit more about stuff, and it's really nice to network in the female groups where you go and have lunch or something like that. It's just so much nicer.
Well, when you put food in the mix, that always encourages me to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be interesting for you to do. I don't know what opportunities you've got with your podcast that you're doing. Alison Holmes. It would be really nice for you to speak to her. She would love to do one of these with you. She literally does networking coaching for a living.
Oh, okay.
She's
Please make an introduction. That would be fabulous.
Yeah, she's got really professional background, and she would love to, I'm sure she would love to have a discussion with you purely on that. You know, it would be really interesting to, because we're like, oh, don't be shy, please don't stay at home, please don't be shy. We want to meet you, we want to give you a hug, we want to say, like, how's business going, you know, what do you need to, you know, stuff like that. We want women to come out from their houses and just come and just trust a safe environment and just come and meet us.
Definitely. So before I go off on another tangent, 3 pieces of advice that you would give to a single mom who's got a business idea and is kind of scared whether she should pursue it or not. What advice would you give to her?
Yeah, let's just really with single mums. Only you can stop you, you know. And this is something my sister said to me years ago. She was a hypnotherapist. She doesn't do it anymore. It's a shame. She was so good at it. But it's clarity. It's just knowing how powerful your brain is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you either make it happen or you wish it could happen. It's that simple. It doesn't just happen. People don't knock on your door, and people don't send you an email and say, oh, you know, you've got to literally bang on doors. You've got to make it happen. You are absolutely 100% responsible, and so make it happen. Take responsibility, and it's that thing of having a conversation with your child in the future is so powerful, and it is so powerful. You know, if you're thinking this is going to be hard and I don't know if I can do it, think, what's the alternative? What is the alternative? What are you going to say when you're sat with your child in 5 or 10 years? What are you going to tell them about why you did or why you didn't do what you do? And it's the same for women in other sort of toxic environments. Whether you're unhappy at work, you're unhappy in a relationship, is always short-term pain to long-term gain. Whatever the fear is, you've got to overcome that if you want to look back in 5 years and say, do you know what, I'm happy, and I'm happy because of what I did.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the third? Oh, the third, single mums in business. Hello. Don't talk to me. You know, I'm totally rooting for women to do well, and you know, there are things out there that can help you that you might not know about, and just email or pick up the phone, ask the question, Google.
And I was going to say, how can people get in contact with you? What platforms are you on? What's your website?
Google Single Mums Business Network.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because I want Google to pick up searches for Single Mums Business Network and then to click into the Single Mums Business Network. If you get straight to the website, it's a visit. But if you at the moment, I think I've got the first couple of pages of Google, which is great. I want to stay there.
Fabulous. Well, I must say, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you, and thank you so much. But more importantly, I just want to say congratulations on everything you've achieved. I always say I love motherhood. I find it want to be one of the most amazing things, but also one of the most difficult things kind of at the exact same time. And for mums like yourself that do it on your own, and also have the motivation and the passion and the drive to set up businesses, you astonish me, and I always find it to be such a fantastic thing. So congratulations to you. I'm proud of everything that you're doing, and I feel like there's so many people need to hear your story. So I'm really honoured that you shared the platform with me, and I'm looking forward to people hearing and watching this.
Thank you. That means so much. I'm so pleased that we linked in and that we connected and that you saw that blog and you liked it and that we're in touch.
Yeah, this is the other thing for those of you watching, listening. So making sure that you're sharing content that is going to catch people's attention, because that you shared a blog that I saw and I was like, right, this is the perfect person that I'll be looking for my first video and interview of the year, because it was so well written and I could even though I'm not a single mom, there was so much things in it that I personally could relate to, and I know friends who are single moms could also relate to. And that's because you put that content out there, you spoke from the heart. It didn't seem to me as though you were trying to sensationalize anything. You was actually just sharing your experience. And a lot of the time, well, not a lot of time, but sometimes as women, we can go one or two ways. We really play down what we're doing and we don't say enough about it, or we try to sensationalize because we see that somebody over there is doing that. So we put on this bravado that doesn't necessarily exist. And I think what you did was you didn't play yourself down. You were very clear on what you've done and what you've achieved, but you also spoke authentically and from the heart. And I think that's so important, and so much more women need to be bold and speaking their truth authentically.
Yeah, we've got work to do. We need to identify the issues and we need to tackle them, you know, in a really diplomatic way. We don't need to attack. We just need to speak honestly and raise awareness of the challenges that are there, so that we can help, you know, get rid of those challenges really for other people.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you again, and thank you guys for watching, for listening. As usual, please make sure that if you've enjoyed this, which I'm sure that you must have, that you like, that you share within your networks, and please make sure that you write a comment if anything in this conversation has resonated with you. And as usual, if you haven't already done so, make sure you click that subscribe button. Or if you're listening to the podcast, please make sure you click that follow button. And if you're a single mom, make sure you join the Single Moms Business Network. And if you're a woman in business or want to start a business and you're looking for some consultancy or for some coaching, get in touch with me at Daniela at she'sthebossintl.com. It's been great, and I will catch you again next week.